Welcome to another interview in the Oral History Project that Maria Lekic and I have begun in 2024. Today, I am delighted to be interviewing Kirkland Vaughans. Kirkland is so well known to all of you that I am not going to give you his CV, but we will hear from him about, well, I hope lots of things, including the evolution of his own thinking, involvement in psychoanalysis, contributions particularly in the area of psychoanalysis and racism, and involvement in Postdoc. Okay, so Kirkland, I would love to hear your story from the beginning. Okay. How you got here, how you got into psychology, psychoanalysis, and eventually Postdoc.
Well, first I want to say, Joyce, thanks for inviting me to be here.
A pleasure.
Yeah. And it's funny, I kind of have an internal laugh at your question because it wasn't my plan. And discussing this with a friend of mine, we viewed it, he helped me to view it as always just putting one foot in front of the other and then looking back. But actually without a plan, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? What's the next step? So, but in terms of my view of it, it started when as an undergrad, and I don't know that I honestly knew it then. One, and two, I don't know that if I did, I would have admitted it then.
There was no psychology talk or interest in your growing up years in the family or anywhere?
No, in fact, everybody in my family, they were shocked when I went to college. Two, because I went after the Army. When I went in the Army, I was going to stay there for 30 years and call it a day. So that's when Vietnam broke out.
So you were in Vietnam?
No, I lucked out. I got stationed in Germany. So I drank a lot of wine for 2.5 years.
Wine, not beer?
Sure, it was good. So it was after that I came out and went to school. I started at what was then called a junior college.
Right.
Call them community colleges today. And my interest was in psychology, but the psychology in the Midwest, I went to the University of Illinois, Chicago, was so behavioristic that it was a big turnoff for me, yeah. I was an expert. I must have had about 20 courses in behavioral psychology.
That's what there was then?
Yes.
Almost everywhere?
Yeah. And but I was also reading on my own a guy by the name of Frantz Fanon. And he's what really perked my interest in this other kind of psychology and the possibilities there. What I think was going on there was also the intense battle I was having with both external and internal racism. And Fanon seemed to really understand this, have it as a topic, whereas others didn't. They would, if they saw it blatantly, then yes, it would be acknowledged or denied.
Could you say a little more about external and internal racism for those who might not?
Sure. That one of the things that Fanon helped me with was he didn't focus on individual racism. He saw it as systemic. So he saw a white person who was not racist as rather an oddity, if you will. He didn't belong. That the norm is racism. That's the cultural norm. But he also saw it having invaded the psychic, the soul, the spirit of those who was aimed at. So, in my private life, that was extremely important to me. And in seeing, you didn't see black psychologists anyway. You definitely didn't see black psychoanalysts. I didn't even see white psychoanalysts until I trained in my doctoral years. Actually, it's not the case. I did meet some when I went to San Jose State and worked there on my master's in clinical community. So I've chased this psychoanalytic ideal. But for me, when I got to it, I found out that we had kind of a different thought pattern. I viewed it as much more social justice and community-based,
Psychoanalysis.
yes, than individual treatment-based. And while I do have a private practice, I enjoy it, I'm much more at home in the workings of community organizing and assisting in that way. I directed a very large outpatient community center, the New Hope Guild in Brooklyn, East New York and Brownsville. And I had about maybe 5 at that time. So when it went under and I became a school psychologist, I developed one right there in the school, a school-based clinic, extended it there when I retired from there at Adelphi, which is in Garden City, but it's right next door to Hempstead. We developed another one. So it's a free clinic. I love it. Students are drawn to it.
That's still in existence.
Yes, it's now about maybe 12 to 14 years old. Yeah.
So in those years when there was no or very little explicit conversation about racism in psychology, never mind in psychoanalysis, I'm assuming that you encountered plenty personally.
Oh yes, oh yes. There was just a general mode that if you majored in psychology at the U of I, you would be shifted over very nicely into sociology or into School of Social Work.
With the idea what? That you weren't up to it?
You weren't up to psychology. You didn't belong there. Yeah, you didn't belong there. So it was a hand. And even though it's my belief I could have gotten in the doctoral program there because I knew the chair of the department, and I had about maybe 4 or 5 classes with him, and I would use his own work to debate with him in class.
Who was this?
His name was Farber, I.E. Farber. He was a good guy. He was also a behaviorist. I didn't hold that much against him. But I didn't want a PhD in behavioral psych. I just didn't want it. So San Jose looked like it offered something, but for me it also didn't go far enough. It was community-based, but it taught a lot of excellent techniques in terms of social intervention, but it didn't teach you adequately about working with the people. And for me, what I've done is to combine my experience, my learnings, with mentalization as a form of treatment, as a form of engagement that allows one to evaluate oneself as you proceed in that involvement.
So through those years, you're talking really about first undergraduate and then grad school, and then we're not yet up to analytic training.
I passed analytic training.
Oh, you passed?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I,
So let's go back to Go for a minute.
Okay.
What was that like for you to be developing yourself as a professional in a time when none of the kind of things that we take for granted today were even acknowledged?
Yeah, it was. I want to say it's interesting. It wasn't interesting.
No, I don't think so.
That's my go-to. Oh, it was interesting, right? It was lonely in some ways, and it was lonely in ways that I would not admit to myself, because my credo was just do it. That's it.
Sort of like full steam ahead, damn the torpedoes.
Yes, ignore them.
Yeah.
What do you want? What did you anticipate? You know, and that was the way I grew up. So if you came back, I have a cousin. I had a cousin. He and I were like brothers, very, very close. And he had a very bad experience in a suburb of Chicago called Cicero. Cicero was known to be racist as all hell. he was the manager of the basketball team. They had to go out there and look at the high school and blah, blah, blah. And the cops stopped them. He was the only black in the car. It was because he was, yeah. So when he got home and told his father said, what the hell do you expect? Keep your black ass out of Cicero. That'll teach you, you know. So it's kind of like when you go there, anticipate what's going to happen and keep stepping.
Did your family back all these moves that you were making professionally?
Yeah, I surprised that I was able to do it, but they were supportive.
I would imagine surprised and proud.
Yes, absolutely. What surprised me most about NYU was the relationships that I developed, very personal ones, friendships that are still ongoing. That surprised me because I hadn't anticipated, I didn't look forward. I went there to do my thing, that was it. In my interviews in analytic institutes, for instance, I went to one interview, it's big time institute.
You're not going to tell us?
It was at the White Institute.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the later directors asked me, why am I blasting the White? I said, I'm not blasting the White Institute, I'm telling you what happened. The guy, he's gone now, but he was in charge of clinical training, psychiatrist type. My prejudices do come through.
That's okay. I
Okay.
have them too.
All right. So he was asking me, kept bringing up white women and my white wife. And so finally I said to him in the course of the interview, I said, listen, my wife is not white, she's black. So I have a sense that you're interested in my sexual experiences with white women. I need for you to be more explicit with your questions.
Good for you.
So we sat there in 10 minutes of silence. He didn't say a word. And finally just said, we're done. I said, thank you. Now, I knew I wasn't getting in. I said,
Right.
You know,
Right.
he just said,
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel any better, for totally not racist reasons, I also had a traumatic interview.
okay. Yeah, it's like, are you crazy? But I had 3 interviews there. 2 of them were very supportive. They were kind of warning me, don't come here, don't come here.
Oh, really?
In the actual interview, have you considered NYU? Yes, look
That's
at it.
interesting.
Yeah. So I did appreciate that, and I also applied to IPTAR and was accepted. But I chose NYU. It seemed to just fit what I needed better. I had different models that I could compare and contrast. And I never regretted it. No, I see.
Did you have those kinds of experiences at Postdoc too? I would imagine there must have been some.
Oh, you'd have them, for instance, trying to catch a taxi and watching a student watch the taxi pass you up and go pick up a white student who's in your class, or having a white student in class. What was there? They complained about a black patient who reported being mistreated by the doorman consistently, as if they expected for the analyst to intervene. You know, like, what is this? I'm an analyst. I do analytic work. That has nothing. Are you serious?
Yeah.
So listening to those stories, it just felt like we've got different groups here. I'm not going to try and dissuade you or persuade you. I got work to do.
So you kind of didn't get involved in confronting this stuff. You sort of
Most often I
let
did
it
not.
lie.
Most often I did not. The first time I confronted the racial issue was when a colleague of mine that I had strongly encouraged to apply, a black woman, her application got in trouble. And I asked her, I said, tell me about the interviews. What happened in the interviews? And for me, it became racialized. And I went back to Bernie and told him.
You mean the rejection was racially based?
Yes, it wasn't. She didn't get thoroughly rejected, but we now may need a fourth interview. And there's a real question about it. This woman is brighter than I am. She was solid. And it was a tale about her husband, I think, and his financial success and the competitiveness that occurred in the interview. That was my take on it. And so ultimately she was accepted, but then we, with the help of others, we said, well, it isn't about one acceptance. You have no black faculty, you have no black supervisors. We don't talk about race here at all.
Right.
And we
That
want
was
to
like
change.
when?
Oh, that was before Altman's book came out,
The Analyst in the Inner City.
Analyst in the City. Another book came out called, don't do this, it's by Michael Motzkowitz. There was a Hispanic woman, Rosemary Perez Foster,
Yeah.
and the guy at St. John's.
We both have some
I
memory recall issues here.
I know, an older woman pushing a cart, a baby cart today. Said, "Oh, excuse me, sir," and she was trying to pass me. I'm walking so damn slow. I just said, "What a way to hurt a guy's ego," you know.
I love it.
Excuse me, and walked right past me. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Javier.
Javier, yes.
Yeah, Javier. So those three published a book. It's a great book. I still use it. And that came out, and we did conferences at NYU. And you could see the engagement. It was to the end of mine was terrifying, and that's when I wrote about what race does is it destabilizes one's capacity to think, just completely.
Yes, as the current political situation
Yes.
is doing
Yes.
to almost all of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to react.
You do react. It's hard not.
Yeah.
So you more than understandably grew up with racism being a huge thread in your life, and among other things, you used it to develop, an arena of psychoanalytic work that I think at this point has quite a wide impact within the field and to some degree without. What would you say is sort of the thrust of what you've tried to do in your writing around racism?
Get us to look. Most black analysts, most black psychologists, I haven't done the statistics on this.
You haven't what?
Done the actual statistics. I can't provide the data, but work primarily with adults. I work primarily with children, yeah. And that's where I think we lose a tremendous amount. So my focus is to go back and look and assist there. That's where the clinics that I've started are all child and family. And I think also helping them, and we're also helping ourselves. Warren Spielberg and I did a book called The Psychology of Black Boys and Adolescents. And we were interviewing these black kids. And it was a funny story. We were interviewing them, and you could see the shields. You could see with the boys. And they would describe racist incidents, and we'd say, "Well, what did that mean? What was that like?" I guess she was just having a bad day, blah blah blah, or
It's a
something.
combination of shielding and denying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we were interviewing them in my basement. We interviewed them in many places, but this particular interview occurred in my basement. We were saying, "Dad, God." And my daughter was upstairs, and she was about 11. She was younger than anybody we had interviewed. She said, "I know you're interviewing those boys because you're just angry that your firstborn wasn't a boy and blah." So I said, "Look, I'm not paying for this therapy, So I said, "Well, the fact of the matter is, I had just come upstairs to ask if you'd come downstairs for an interview." She said, "No, that's not." I said, "Yes, it is. Warren's preparing the camera and everything now." So she said, "Wait, I have to go do my hair."
Of course.
So we bring her downstairs, and she's much more open and reflective. So we say, yeah, she's also the daughter of two psychologists. What the heck?
I mean, dare I say, she's also a girl.
Yeah, yes. Well, that was the lead thing. That took precedence over my profession because we said, well, the next time what we're going to do is we're going to mix it. We're going to put these black boys in a circle and put the black girls outside, and then watch what happens. And the boys would go right into denial, and the girls would say, well, they go into the affect and help them out with it. And then the boys could come and begin to look at it differently, but with the help of the girls.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yes.
So today, here you are. What are you doing? What do you want to do professionally? What's left to be done?
More than what I was initially able to accomplish.
There's only one answer to that, which is Yiddish. New?
I'd like to focus more on black youth and brown youth, the intergenerational transmission of trauma, how they're impacted by that, and more within the community. I talk about doing work in the barbershops because I've come to a place to believe that one of the places where black men are defensive is our inability to protect our families. And so we don't say, I'm really not able to protect you, I'm really not able to financially provide for you. We get defensive. Well, you're mama's boy. And so I, just by asking the question, gee, maybe they are, but what do you imagine happens to those black boys who are not mama's boys, who ain't got their mama around? They're going to prison. They're not making it. So gradually, the conversation shifts. And so I would like to see us in barbershops. I'd like to see us doing more community-based work,
Right.
Not just with families, but with children and with their families.
You know what you make me think of? Do you know the Charlie Brown cartoons? Linus and Lucy. And
Yes.
There's a whole sequence where she hangs a sign, the doctor is in their play space. That's what you're talking about in a way.
Yes.
Putting the doctors in a space that feels sufficiently informal to invite people to actually let their hair down.
Yes. So I think it's important. I would want to have more community work, more group work. I think we miss out. I think I'm a good therapist, without a doubt.
I have heard so.
Oh, well, but I also think that we miss the vitality of people's own ability to help themselves and help each other.
Kind of reminds me of the Winnicott statement. In doing psychotherapy, we ask not how much can be done, but how little can be done, by which he meant how much can be left to the parents and the extended family or community.
Yes. I think a whole lot is there. There was a book maybe 50 years ago, the other 23 hours.
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly.
It's like, okay, you spent 45 minutes with me. But I even assign work. Like, we got the summer off, but you don't have the summer off because you have a therapy hour. Even though we're not going to meet, you can still use that time to do some work. And always summer camps, I view them as crucially important in helping each other grow.
Sure. So tell me about your experience at Postdoc as a candidate, as a graduate, and how you see it now and where you'd like it to go.
Okay. First of all, when I got to Postdoc, I felt very privileged to even be there. I don't know, I heard other folks complaining about the price, the fee, the cost, but I did cheat in the sense that I didn't have the financial concerns because my boss wanted his son, who wasn't ready, to take my place. And I said, that will cost you tuition at NYU.
Wow.
So I swapped the position for the tuition.
Good for you.
I never looked back. Otherwise, I'd be fighting with this guy for the next 10 years, you know. So I got the tuition paid by the New Hope Guild, which took a big stress off of me.
I bet it did.
But the classes were good. I remember that there was, I go back to a book written by, don't do this to me, a Black brilliant author, Toni Morrison, thank you. All right, so thank you, folks. In Whiteness and Literary Imagination, she argues that even in the novels and the literature where blackness is not a focus or even a part of the page, it's still there. Mm-hmm. And I felt that at NYU, I remember a class, I can't remember the author's name, where he said he was doing multicultural work. So he had a white patient, female, and a black patient, female. And he says, this is multicultural. He didn't talk about his own stuff at all, but he was talking about this white woman, this black woman. And I did resent him, and I resented his commentary on the black woman. She said she entered the treatment session sporting a natural.
Sporting what?
A natural hairstyle.
Oh, you mean like an afro?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And the verb sporting is hostile.
Thank you. And that's what I was told. And the instructor says, well, you sound quite angry about this. And I said, yes, but I'm honest with mine. He's not being. Mm-hmm. And he's taking it out on the patient. I'm taking it out on him. He's the author. Right. You know, so it would be that way numerous times when stuff would be tinged in the writings. Mm-hmm. That's where I would
react. And what about within the cohort and the faculty? I mean, we were in the same cohort, mm-hmm. even though we don't remember each other from way back then. Yeah. It's 1982.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
I tended not to respond much to my cohort. Sometimes they would respond to me. I remember in one class, a fellow Jones said, "You're gonna have to explain it." Because he didn't get it. I made a comment about an instructor brought in an article that she hadn't read and talking about how men had passed beyond this phallic worship stage. And I said, oh, yeah? And I quoted Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice, whose guts I can't stand.
Yes.
And the woman who, the attorney who said he had sexually harassed her.
Yeah. Was that
Anita Hill? Anita Hill. Yeah. And the reason I knew she was telling the truth is because Anita Hill is pretty solidly middle class and black. She does not know vulgarity.
No.
In this, and yet she was spewing this vulgarity. I said, it came from that dude.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but one of his jokes was about his big ding-a-ling-ding or whatever it was, and. This guy got angry about it because he didn't get it. She got it, but to me it was obvious. But there was also some support in some of my classes of students that
from the students, from the faculty and supervisors.
Mainly students. Every now and then somebody would pop their head up and say something. I would be surprised and appreciative. Yeah, it felt good. So it wasn't. I didn't experience it as a hostile environment. Experience it mainly as like, more often than not, folks not knowing what to do with me.
Right.
Like Michael Motzkowitz and I were both co-chaired a committee. It was the first committee to be concerned with race and culture. So we went around all the tracks and blah, blah, and talked. And we went to the Senate too, as well. And that's where
The shit hit the fan.
They started talking about what's happening in England. So I'm not in England. I'm here in New York with you.
Are you saying a faculty person said that?
Oh, yes. Started talking about in England, blah, blah, blah. Moved it away. It was too hot to handle.
Wow.
And that was my interpretation. I'm here in New York. I'm not in England.
Right.
You know, so I don't really give a damn what they do in England.
Right.
But there were parts that were glad this guy's out here. He's finally graduating, and there were other folks there. I think Barney Quince appreciated me. Mm-hmm. I was defensive with him one time unnecessarily. My second or third year there, he stopped me and he says, "Kirkland, are you still involved in community mental health?" And that defense said, yeah, expecting him to say, well, you're going to get to evolve and move up. And he said, oh, thank God somebody's staying with it. You know?
Yeah.
And I relaxed. But his response surprised me.
He was unusual because I certainly also experienced the pressure to move into private practice. That was a sign of having arrived.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And otherwise, what are you here for?
Right.
You know, I remember applying for my internships in the interviews there. And they said, well, you say you want to study analysis after your license and everything, but you also say you want to work in minority communities.
As if it's a binary. Yeah.
You know, so it was I think what young folks don't know, we don't do a great job of, is explaining the world that we grew up in. I don't think that I'm great at it at all.
Well, you're kind of doing it now.
Okay, but it was so different. Like, it was not uncommon. The big debate was, are blacks innately intellectually inferior? Remember, that was the big issue back when I went to school.
Yeah, I got protected from that by virtue of where I was sent.
Okay.
But that was certainly around.
Yeah. And I remember when I first began to teach, and this would be an issue, and folks would bring it up, and I said, listen, I'm more than willing to accept my inferiority. More than willing. If you will accept your inferiority to Jewish people and to Asian people, take for tat, baby. You can't have it both ways. They outscore you. Oh, yeah, they outscore you on all the tests. Okay, they beat you in the universities. What about that? Okay, they didn't like it at all.
Yeah, good for you.
Faces would turn red.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable how unplugged and oblivious people were. Which doesn't mean that we're not all racist today, but we're more likely, I think, to, if not catch it, at least acknowledge that it's got to be there.
Yes, and the other thing I would say is it's more brittle today, more fragile in the sense that, remember the film All in the Family?
Oh, God.
Yeah. You couldn't have that on
No,
TV.
you could not have it except as happening in some other country.
Yes, yeah.
So what do you think it's like now at Postdoc in terms of this whole issue?
It's I think difficult is my sense of it. I haven't hung around Postdoc much lately. I taught about 2 years ago, and the class was so fractured and injured. It felt like trauma slapping up against trauma.
Around racism in particular?
Around cultural divides.
Yes.
And some of them were underlined, they couldn't be mentioned.
Yep.
And I think that's too bad. I think a lot of Division 39 unresolved issues
Utterly fractured. Disaster.
right into Postdoc.
Yeah.
We can't talk to each other.
Right.
And for me, that's our backbone. That's what we can do. We can listen. In my class the other day, I'm quite sure he's a Trumper. He's the guy. He's quiet.
So an NYU postdoc person is a
No,
Trumper?
this is Adelphi.
Oh, at Adelphi, okay.
And somebody said, "Well, what do you think of the guy who shot Kurt?"
Yeah.
I said, "Well, if he were a student here, he would have got an F minus." F minus for shooting. I said, "No, because his skills, his lack of capacity to be able to listen to somebody he disagrees with."
Here we are, we have, as a program, really made an effort. I mean, you know, that I run the diversity scholarship thing.
Right.
We've really tried so hard to bring in people from a range of other cultures and races and so on and so forth. We've tried to bring people on the faculty to the degree that we've succeeded. Do you have a sense that it's changed anything much yet?
I think we had not anticipated this calamity,
Which
this
one? The Trump
cultural.
calamity?
No, I wouldn't even call it the Trump. He just added to it.
Okay.
And it's more, I think, Palestine, what's happening there is a part of it. But also people are coming in with trauma
Yeah.
from their own backgrounds. And one of the things that happens, I think it's hard to hear me, because when you leave a country of origin, you must have every rationale in the world for having done so.
Yeah.
You're leaving your mother country, your mother tongue, your mother food, your neighborhood.
And sometimes your mother.
Thank you. And so you must identify with the best aspects of where you have moved to. That means you're going to more than readily be able to adapt to their prejudices.
Yeah.
So I think it makes them quite vulnerable. And that's a hard job that hasn't been examined yet. A couple of folks have worked in that area. There was a candidate, June Lee Kwong.
Yes.
Has
June Lee Kwong.
Yes, has done some work. I think some good work, and a couple of others. But by and large, we bring them in, and it's like an attack occurred. Once I was doing a class with the incoming class. This was maybe
Yeah, I was there for
Okay.
one of them. I know about that.
Yeah, and I didn't want her punished or penalized, but that was a piece of what I'm talking about.
Right. You know, if you had asked me what I just asked you, and I think this really speaks to a sort of underlying racial issue, I would have said that what is fracturing the community at this point mostly is Israel-Palestine. I mean, the psychoanalytic community, not even NYU, more than race.
Oh,
But
yes.
I could be wrong.
And I wonder how that's a stand-in for race.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I mean, it's seen through those lenses.
Yeah. Although the
So-
folks who turn against each other are usually all white. It really has to do with political identifications and disidentifications.
Yes.
But you could be right anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't think it means that either of us is necessarily wrong. Because I hear what you're saying, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like the inability to do what we're doing right now, the inability to just sit down and talk and say,
This is what I think, and what do you think?
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And here it's, I would, listen, there was a person, I'm not going to name them, but Ghislaine Boulanger was there. It's when she was leading the assault on APA about that work.
About Guantanamo.
Yes. And this person says to her, and this is when I lost all respect for them. So I'm not an angel, but in defense of of those that Ghislaine took issue with, she said to Ghislaine, she said, well, they were only following orders.
Oh, well, there we go.
I
Back
wanted to
1930.
drop through the
Yeah.
damn floor. Like, are you kidding me?
And
You
the
could
answer is
honestly
no.
say that?
Right.
I-
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, so when that got said, morally, me and that person were done because I haven't got time for somebody in pre-K. It's like, no, you gotta at least be here so we could,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yep.
And so for me, that was a moral issue. Most of the things I don't see, I don't think that folks are fighting anyway. I think they just want to not annihilate the other person.
Yeah.
And I see so much of trauma, slapping trauma, back and forth.
Pretty traumatizing time.
Yes, and if we don't sit down and say, hey, look, we're injured, and stop re-injuring each other.
Right. So that's a vision for the future of the world first and psychoanalysis second.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to, well, two things. One, I want to make sure that there's nothing that you haven't said that you would like on this recording. And I want to also ask you, perhaps it's the same question, where would you like to see psychoanalysis and postdoc in particular go over, let's say, the next decade?
I asked the former director,
Which former director are we talking about?
Spiral.
Oh, Spiro, yes.
Spiral, yeah. Why not start a child therapy community-based program? I think it would be wonderful.
It would be great.
Yeah.
We need it. The city needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see it encompassed. I think folks who work in clinics, I know they were debating this. I think it passed for the international that you could get some time for your work in clinics. I'm not sure if I'm correct.
Yeah. I think that is happening. It's complicated because we also want people to have an actual experience doing an actual psychoanalysis, which is tough just because of frequency in people's lives.
Yeah.
But I think that there is movement in that direction.
One of the things that happened with me, I think I went through about 10 patients.
Before you got somebody.
I was being rejected. They were racially based.
Oh, that's all race, right?
Yeah, it was right. My supervisors were great. But I didn't bring up race. And what happened was this one woman, PhD in a higher science, and I took in the initial intake to my supervisor. Looking at him, I'll struggle with his name later. And he said, oh, go, you'll work with her for 14 years. And I said, oh, great, fine, I got somebody. So she comes in, walks in the door and says, as she opens the door, before the door is closed, she says, I've decided not to allow myself to be violated by you.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you're gonna knock me out that chair with a feather. So she turns around and begins to walk. I said, whoa, wait a second, we still got 50 minutes left. So I promised not to try and dissuade you. So we closed it up. My last question to her was, so what kind of analyst would be most helpful to you? And she remarked, one with a woman with a head on like yours. I said, okay, I wrote that down. But so that was a constant iteration. Finally, I got a patient. $7 a session. That's all I got to pay.
Yeah,
3 times a week.
that.
Yeah, I said, that's all. She said, okay, I'll lay your ass on that couch and let's go. Out of here.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I thought I'd spend a lifetime just trying to get somebody
Through, but you did it. So we are about out of time. Is there anything else that you want?
I would want to add that I did develop some lifelong friendships and camaraderie-ships from my time at NYU.
Yes.
I'm very glad that I have them. They've been very, very helpful, personally and professionally. Yeah.
And you're certainly very profoundly well respected and liked in the program. I mean, I've heard about you for the whole of my time, and I find it most remarkable that we both, basically we were in the same class, and we never met. Right?
Yeah, it can happen.
Yeah, I guess it can.
There's one thing, you asked me about early life and racism. There is one trauma that haunts me, and I still struggle with it. My senior year in high school, you had to write this paper, big paper. So, oh, I don't know anything. But that was a library page. And I had, you get a lot of free time. So I read a number of books on juvenile delinquency, which was probably my way of also helping me dislike my own delinquent tendencies. But I wrote the paper. My senior thesis was on juvenile delinquency, so I handed it in. I was proud of it and done. And so my teacher says, who wrote the paper? And I didn't understand the question at first. I said, I wrote the paper. He said, no, who wrote the paper? And I said, I wrote
White
the paper.
teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he flunked me. I failed the course. He says, I know you didn't write this. I failed the course. And I still to this day stumble and tremble over writing.
Yeah, well, it's
Very
pretty
good.
understandable,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, what a way to destroy a kid.
Yes, I had to
When
go
you're like
back.
17 or 18 years
Yeah,
old.
so I had to go back to summer school
Oh,
and take that day of class
and
again.
there's no recourse. There was nothing you could have done.
I don't know. I didn't feel like I had recourse.
Right.
Was the main obstacle at that point. So I didn't challenge. I just took the day
Right.
off, kept walking.
Yeah, well, that's just awful.
Yeah, so that does haunt me from high school. That's the only
Well,
thing.
thank God you wrote anyway.
Yeah. So
Well, Kirkland, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. This was
Thank you.
really wonderful for me to get to know you a bit,
yeah,
and wonderful for Postdoc to have this kind of visual record of some of your many accomplishments here.
thank you.